Greetings everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, Season 2.
Yep, Frieren, Season 2, Episode 7. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. Sage, we're back for more Anime Night in the dojo, and well, in case anybody is not entirely sure, I know you guys can't see it, but if you're on Crunchyroll and it's new ridiculous 25% increased price, which I don't know how long that's going to last with all the crap that's going on with them recently. Methode. Methode.
Yeah, Metode.
Yeah, Metode. Oh, man. But all that kind of stuff aside, we had Messenger Squirrel last week. That was fun. That's one of my favorite stills in a while. That's a great still. I like it. Feel free to frame it if you guys want it. Right there. But definitely some interesting stuff going on with the story. Even if this season is kind of like a bridge gap to the Golden Land stuff, it's still been pretty good. You know, it's done what Frieren does well. You know what I mean? And you know what it also does? The Crunchyroll player just sent me right back to the Frieren screen because I had to go AFK really quick. And yeah, so yeah, I'm just so over this crap, man. At least when we're doing our review and I'm bouncing around and showing different stills and moving the you know, like the timer around, that counts as being active as opposed to what it was before. So at least there's that. But now it's worse when it kicks you back to the whole freaking the show's actual page on the site. But yeah, that is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to the hunting the demon general here, see what the deal is with that. Maybe we'll get a little bit more backstory on various things, and probably a fairly cool fight sequence, I assume. So that should be fun. See what happens with that. But you know, again, this has been a solid season. I've enjoyed it. It's done everything that season 1 did. You know, it's shorter for obvious reasons, with them wanting to just kind of make it shorter so that they go straight into the Golden Land sequence next year. That's already been confirmed as a 2027 thing, so you don't have to wait too long for Frieren to come back. But yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and push some buttons and see what's up with this episode, and see if Fern gets jealous again, because that's just what seems to be we're trending toward. So nobody's gonna steal Grandma Frieren away from Fern, right? So we gotta have the face, and maybe we'll get some more rock bread. So people on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the time reaction, and people on YouTube Beyond, we'll see you on the other side for the discussion and review, and all links to various places where you might find stuff is right there in the description. So check it out, watch whatever you want, and we appreciate you. So there goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. Another great episode across the board for what it was. It's doing everything that I want this show to do, and that's why it's a great show. Just talked a little bit about it at the end of the reaction there, facing odd handles, that kind of thing. It's a nice break from the norm of shows and series and stuff like that, and that's why I appreciate it. And if the mistress tells you to shake someone's hand, shake their hand, and then proceed to let them pet you for at least 10 minutes a day. He is a man and she is a beautiful woman. Just saying. We just talked about that last week with Fire Force. You know what I mean? So that was hilarious that they snuck that one in, and all the Frieren petting nonsense he was okay with it too. 10 minutes a day. You don't really think about that, but if you just put that all in one section, it's just that's a lot. Imagine your significant other literally petting your head for 10 minutes straight. And in this case, it's not like they're even together. They're just partners working together as, mages. So she has her special need of wanting to coddle all things that she finds cute, which I guess she finds him cute because she pets him at least 10 minutes a day. So yeah, got to get her kick somewhere, right? If he's the only one around, then that means he's the cutest thing in the vicinity, right? Except for that squirrel. Then he loses. So that was definitely one hell of a thing. We got more of what's going on with Revolte and his crew, that kind of thing. Once again, I pointed out, at least for the English VA, I have Fell from Campfire Cooking's VA pegged now at this point. I've gotten pretty good at pegging certain voice actors like Malim, Ramirez, those VAs. Obviously, Flora Bailey always
Gohan.
shows up. Gohan, yeah, Gohan is the big one that started all this, but I'm getting pretty good at recognizing a lot of them. And since Fell has a pretty distinct voice for when he's doing Fell, even if he's only changing his tone a little bit, it's still him. You can tell, especially when he says human. You know what I mean? Everybody usually has a dead giveaway, and for him, like when he's referring to Makoto in Campfire Cooking, he calls him human. That's one of the things. Is like, when is Fell going to call him by his name? So he said human a lot, and when Revolte here says human, it's like, yeah, that I was just like, that sounds kind of like Fell, and then human, yeah, it's him. So there was that. Him and his crew, that kind of thing. How they did the split up, that was good. I'm sure Genau can handle himself, obviously, because we got it confirmed in the study he's a conjurer, and he may or may not be a fan of Sephiroth and or Tiffany Stratton. But everybody has a specialty, and attack magic is the fundamentals, but then you have your specialties like Methode, PH. She has her healing specialty and stuff like that, but she's also capable of fighting. Obviously, when she has a full axe, which that's something different.
She has an axe staff.
Yeah, she has an axe staff.
Genau implies that he's more of a fighter as well, which makes sense as a conjurer. A lot of times, conjurers basically come in two flavors: either they're summoners, where their minions do all the work for them, or they're more like battle conjurers, where they friggin' conjure like weapons and stuff for themselves and fight with them.
And that's what we got for Revolte as well, was he is technically a conjurer because he's conjuring his swords, and then he's able to adjust them on the fly based on whatever he wants. Like they said, sharpness, weight, size, whatever. He can do whatever he wants with them. So that's definitely kind of an interesting opponent to have to deal with. But once again, you don't have to destroy or dispel his blades to defeat him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would help. But
from what we know of Methode, her specialty is her barriers, but she also has her debuff magic, and then the healing thing is her really odd thing, because normally there is no healing mages. Healing is exclusively a divine magic that normally mages can't learn. You have to be an ordained priest with a blessing for it. But she somehow, we still don't know how, with that, despite not having a blessing, is capable of using healing magic.
Right. So it's definitely an interesting grouping here. I do like the way that they split them up, that kind of thing. They had that nice little bro talk about his previous partner, which can't tell me he's not like a Hawks-like character. He's one of those guys. He's like he's kind of like the bro characters from Persona series, very Ryuji. You know what I mean? That kind of character. So it's always a bummer to lose a guy like that, but we didn't really get to know him outside of the flashback, so that is what it is. But the character like that is always contrasted by a character like Genau. And that's always one of the better pairings. It's kind of like heel versus face in WWE. You have to have good guy versus bad guy.
Yeah, it's like Genau was questioning it too, of why he got stuck with Methode instead of someone like Ubel, who he felt would have been more of a match for him and on this kind of a mission and stuff like that. But it's no, it's Serie is pairing him up with people who counter him and who actually freaking balance out his personality, because otherwise he probably would just go off and get himself killed.
Yeah. So it's a solid way to write this kind of thing, and that's always appreciated. But it's the little moments like this that make this show very, very good. And even before, right before combat, you have this kind of shenanigan. This just reminds me of that scene in Komi where they go skating and Tadano's helping the big guy. I forget his name, but he's helping him skate, and Komi's just following behind them. I can't believe you're hijacking my theme song. This is crap. So situations like this are always hilarious. And we got the Frieren tug of war during the hug here, which this is one hell of a still image. It's something.
Yeah. Frieren is your elder, and she's a mature lady who would not indulge in petting
until you bribe her.
Or Fern would have been all over that already.
Right. But we talked a little bit about this at the end of the reaction. In case you guys missed it, it's a spell. One of the quality of life spells that we've talked about, like the previous one was swapping the apple color from red to green or green to red, whatever direction it was. This one, got to turn our background track back on, it is a spell that prevents any part of the eggshell from falling into the bowl after you crack it. I don't know what kind of eggs they got. But the first couple times that I cracked eggs, yeah, it happened a little bit, and I had to like pick up a little piece of the shell. I can't remember the last time I've had even maybe like a tiny like like when you crack the shell and like a little like it's kind of like when you're grinding on something and a little piece of something comes off and there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Just a little tiny bit. So if you're talking about like perfection, yeah. But when we're talking about any major part of a shell falling into the bowl when I'm cracking an egg, or like I usually just crack it on the side of the pan, just one hand it, boop, toss it. You know what I mean? Just crack it, it falls in, pull it, gone. That's it. There might be a tiny little flake of shell in there, like microscopic. You know what I mean? Because of the crack. But I don't remember the last time that happened to me outside of, I crack it and the egg explodes because the shell was compromised. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I was saying, even as someone who doesn't cook very often, you really should not have an issue with that. Like, you should be able to learn that pretty damn quickly to not actually have shells be a problem.
Right. So that one's kind of weird. It's on point for a quality of life random thing based on the stuff that they've done, and I appreciate it for what it is. But to me, that's like
Frieren doesn't care.
Really?
Frieren literally just wants to learn every single spell in existence.
Right. I think the spell that Fern got after the first class mage exam, that one's practical and pretty damn useful. You know what I mean? That was a cool spell. But some of the other ones are like, okay.
Automatically cleans your clothes, basically as if they were dry cleaned.
Yeah, that's awesome. Are you kidding me? Then you don't have to worry about washing Sokka's dirty socks if you're Katara. I bet she would have loved that spell. But she's a waterbender. She could have probably done something about it. But either way, this egg one really got me because it's so hyper specific. You know what I mean? At least with the apple one, there are people who are adverse to colors. Like, I'm not going to eat a green piece of food, let's say. Not saying that I don't. I'm just saying using it as an example. It's like some people might look at a green apple and go, gross. I don't want this. But if it was red apple with the same properties and the same thing, it was just red instead of green, they'd probably eat it.
The big thing with turning a green apple into a red apple is just that the green apples are sour apples, red apples are sweet apples.
Right.
And some people won't eat sour apples.
Right. Generally, for me, I barely notice it. You know what I mean? If I'm going to eat an apple, I freaking eat it. That's just me, though. Everybody has their preference. But yeah, it's this egg one. That's something else. That is high level convenience right there. Supreme level convenience.
Supreme niche.
Yeah, supreme niche. Just, man, is this really a problem? Like, whoever created this spell must have really had some friggin' problems. You know what I mean? Because it's kind of like the whole necessity is the mother of invention. I mean, whoever came up with this one must have really struggled with eggs, like horribly struggled with eggs.
It was probably either made by a Persona-esque cannot cook for the life of them character, or someone who is literally just making up spells to make spells. Like, it's just thinking of obscure random things that no one's made a spell of yet.
Right, yeah, and that's absolutely a thing that a lot of people would do, is like, I'm going to do something that nobody else has done, even if it's super niche. I don't care. I want the Guinness Book of World Records for eating, crescent moon-shaped raisinets during, the lunar eclipse. That kind of crap. You know what I mean? Like, just super oddly specific nonsense. So, that is what it is, but, that was the calm before the storm, where we got the stuff with the demons. They're using this mana fog, which, it is what it is, but if you can sense mana, you can probably sense mana density, and if you're surrounded by a trivial amount of mana, you're going to notice the dense mana attacks coming at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's most likely how, Frieren was able to immediately pinpoint the incoming attacks and stuff like that. It's just a thing of you just have to actually like adjust to it and or realize what's happening, which Fern hasn't yet.
Right. So she'll probably get used to it. The sequence should be pretty interesting across the board. They're fighting the priest guy. Well, I call him a priest guy because he has the Moroku staff. I forget what that staff is called, but it's usually used by priest characters. That kind of.
Yeah, it's a type of Shinto staff.
Yeah. But the other thing that came out of this was the swordsman who can split parts of the forest, and the fact that Methode is using a staff with an axe head. That's something different.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she.
That's again.
Yeah, here we go. It's like I know it was like a couple frames down the line from this shot right here. So.
Which we mentioned the whole thing with conjurers, if they're not like a minion master kind of conjurers, typically do get into some sort of martial combat. That's another thing, is she's a healer / barrier mage, so she probably relies predominantly on physical combat to actually attack her opponent.
Right. And
because like the only offensive magic we've seen her use so far, because once again we don't actually see her battle with like the Fern doppelganger, is just her sleep spell.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see this kind of fight. It should be noted that her axe is also a tool. You can see the back side of it. It is absolutely potentially used for grappling and catching something. We talked about the Shinto staff, like a minute ago. There is a Japanese style weapon that like samurai and secret police used that is vaguely reminiscent of this. I forget what it's called, but it was like it had like an axe, kind of like an axe head, like her thing here. But then the back side of it was used to like pull people off of horses and like drag them around, kind of situation. You know what I mean? Like a capture tool. So I wouldn't be surprised if she was able to. She could potentially snap another weapon with the back end of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how versatile she uses this weapon, as opposed to just using it as an axe, because this is definitely a capture device / weapon breaker kind of design as well. So.
Yeah, which once again, from power scaling, from what we know, Ganao and Methode are stronger than Stark and Fern.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how the fights actually play out, like how much Stark actually manages to contribute to the Revolte fight. And once again, Frieren is taking the mentor route of trying to get Fern to fight the demon herself. Because once again, Frieren, we've already seen power scaling wise, like she even suppressed mana, like her weakest form, is probably capable of 1v1ing any of these demons, let alone her actually not suppressing her mana, or we know she has her like super serious mode now because of the doppelganger.
Right. So some interesting sequences set up here. It'll be interesting to see how this fight plays out, because this is obviously the more it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because there is one more demon out there. It's the schoolgirl that I mentioned. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was one thing.
Humanity for whatever reason. So she's kind of a wild card.
yeah, that was the thing. The other thing I was going to bring up was the fact that we have the fights split up at the moment, but there is still one unaccounted for demon, which we don't really know what she's capable of. All we know is that she apparently has an interest in humanity.
Right. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on here. Everything we talked about with Rolte swords, that kind of thing. This should be interesting. The fact that Genau is a conjurer, that kind of thing, so he can also fly. He's specialized in close combat, so that tells me he could be like a Akihiko, punching bears in his spare time. Who knows? You know what I mean? So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how all these fights turn out. Yeah, the last couple episodes should be pretty damn interesting, so looking forward to that. But I'm sure they'll sneak in some random shenanigans as well. So should be interesting. That's all I got for this one. I'm enjoying it. And yeah, anything else, Age?
The missing demon was something I was going to bring up, which we just covered. Apart from that, I don't know, like there's the Serie stuff that we mentioned. Once again, I feel like people kind of underestimate how intelligent Serie actually is, just because of the fact that she doesn't do very much herself. But it's, once again, she's like 10,000 some years old, and she's her role in society is to freaking macro manage. She doesn't really get involved in things directly anymore.
Right. So yeah, lots of interesting things going on, and I'm enjoying it. Again, can't say it enough. So, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond how you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the dojo. And this is Frieren, Season 2, Episode 7. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. We'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.